Well, folks, today was Joy Reid's last show on MSNBC. They tried to make it this heartfelt, emotional moment where we're supposed to feel bad that one of the worst people on TV, one of the most divisive, dishonest, race-hustling, fear-mongering propagandists is now canned. But instead, it just embodied what her show's always been about, being cringe, making fake, profound statements to try to sound smart, lying to the viewer at every turn, and unintentionally exposing Democrat incompetence. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are absolutely thrilled we will never see Joy Reid on TV again. But where I want to start is the New York Times posting some of Joy Reid's absolute worst moments so we can all take a trip down memory lane. Watch.
In 2020, Reid mocked police officers who declined to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
So for putting Americans in danger, officers and unions who are fighting against vaccine mandates, which essentially means fighting to make the public sick, are tonight's absolute worst.
In 2022, she compared Floridians fleeing the Sunshine State in the wake of Hurricane Ian to waves of illegal immigrants crossing the U.S. border.
Be careful about attacking people who have to move to save their own lives and safety, because you never know when it's your people that have to move, when it's your people who have to migrate, when it's your people who have to get on that road.
And in 2024, claimed that Republicans were voting based on, quote, racial animus.
They're increasingly, from the Tea Party on, they're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job they want, a black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges.
In the lead up to Donald Trump's second term in the White House, Reid condemned the white Christians who supported him in the Iowa caucuses, claiming they want non-whites to bow down to them.
None of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American.
Let me know what your least favorite Joy Reid moment of all time is in the comments below. I know there's probably a lot of them. But here she is talking about Elon Musk sending out his email to federal workers and trying to joke about it, but it ends up just falling flat. Watch.
But the email presented Americans with one of the other really perfect responses to fascism: ridicule. Journalist Allison Gill from a Substack called The Breakdown posted some of the best fictional responses that appeared online in response to the question, what would you really like to say in your response? Some of the best included: number one, kept refreshing email to see if I was fired or placed on administrative leave. Number two, tried to concentrate over the sound of colleagues cleaning out their desks. Number three, accommodated the requests for access to classified data by big balls. Number four, had a scotch. Number five, researched countries I can relocate to. Another one said, drank an old-fashioned. Number two, took a nap. Number three, delighted coworkers with sarcasm. Number four, dropped a tray of chocolate-covered pretzels in the conference room before the town hall. Number five, put Black History Month stickers on bulletin board and gave out emotional support dumpster fires. And last but not least, number one, executed low productivity tasking. Number two, identified opportunities to transition to high productivity tasking. Number three, developed a plan for Doge to F off. Number four, all the Teams meetings. Number five, responded to meaningless emails about task execution.
The thing about these fake 5-point email responses is they would be funny, except they aren't. This situation is dead serious. Most Americans understand the gravity of having a $37 trillion national debt and running at a $2.5 trillion deficit every year. We're tired of our tax money going to fund government corruption, and we want this cleaned up. And this kind of childish humor to such an unbelievably reasonable request shows how little the federal workers think about the American taxpayer and how little they think they deserve any accountability. It highlights the stark difference between public sector employees and private sector employees who go through performance reviews and accountability frequently and normally. But the moment federal employees are asked to list 5 things that they've worked on during the week, they see it as offensive and some kind of personal attack. I'm sure not all federal employees are bad people, but if the government is operating as it is right now, with like 90% of federal employees working from home, then it seems reasonable that we could probably fire 70% of everybody and have the remaining 30% work in office and get the same level of productivity. And their temper tantrum to receiving the same level of scrutiny that any private sector employee would shows exactly why people have a negative connotation about federal workers, that they don't do anything. Now she starts talking about these town hall protests that have been happening across the country in Republican districts, claiming it's a huge win for Democrats. I'm going to debunk that after this clip, but let's take a listen.
Black Lives Matter covered. We've covered a lot of the way that black people are treated. We're now seeing these this is not a black people thing. You're seeing in all white audiences in places like Idaho, people being dragged from their seats, being treated brutally. You're seeing federal workers who've now had to sue because they get an insulting email saying, justify your job, or we're going to have to remove you, and a 19-year-old Senate. Can you talk about the sort of legal recourse and fight back?
Sure. So I became a lawyer inspired by heroes like Thurgood Marshall and Constance Baker Motley, who the last time there was a constitutional crisis when southern states just weren't going to follow Brown versus Board, they said you have to, and they made them. And so now we have judges who are stepping up. There are 20 different lawsuits already generated by Trump 2.0. A judge has told Trump that you cannot freeze money that Congress has allocated for foreign aid.
So this is where you have to use a little bit of common sense, and I know Joy Reid doesn't have any of that, so this is going to be hard for her to understand. Even in the most red, deep red Trump districts, there are going to be thousands of Democrat voters. And it works in reverse. Even in places like San Francisco, Portland, you're still going to find 20% of the people there who are Republicans. So it's safe to reason that these people protesting aren't Trump supporters who are now regretting their vote or having buyer's remorse, but are just a bunch of radical Elon and Trump deranged Democrats who have been lied to by their media to believe that Elon Musk is stealing their social security number, cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, cutting food stamps. And the data would back up my claim too. Now, you know I don't live and die by the polls, but some of these most recent polls that are coming out show the items on Trump's agenda hitting as high as the high 70s in terms of favorability. It's easy for 300 pissed off Democrats to pack a town hall and make it look like there's a giant resistance. When one of the congressmen she showed said, I'm actually liking what Elon Musk is uncovering with Doge, and the crowd starts booing, you know those aren't Republicans, because we're all thrilled about the corruption and waste being uncovered. It's a bunch of crazy liberals who have now taken up defending government corruption, all because they have to be against whatever Trump is doing. Now, this is when she brings out her MSDNC propaganda lineup, from Rachel Maddow to Lawrence O'Donnell, fake Walter Cronkite. And they just rave about how great Joy Reid is, despite the fact that her ratings are so bad, her show's getting canceled, but let's watch.
I wanted you guys to be here with me because you are my comrades in arms in covering this insane moment that we're in when it comes to what is happening in our country. I want to start with you, Rachel. I would love for you to give our audience just your take, your tips. What do you think people can be doing right now that's effective?
Well, first I want to say that I love you, Joy.
I love you.
And that I am bereft that the readout is ending. I just can't even, I sort of can't get beyond that. So I want to say that.
The end of the readout and your departure is despair. And the only thing that chips away at that for me is that despair is the autocrat's tool. It's their most effective weapon. It costs nothing. It's easy to deploy. It's contagious. And then it puts in motion all the actions they want.
You know, you absolutely must now be committed with every bit of strength you have, again, against something that seemed hopeless.
I mean, they're acting like Joy Reid is FDR giving a fireside chat, like she's helping the world navigate through chaos and uncertainty, when all she does is get on TV every day and lie to people and racially divide and fearmonger and crap on America and promote victimhood mentality and promote radical Marxist ideology as the ultimate good. If she was that profound, if she was that important, her show wouldn't be getting canceled. I love the absolute irony from the left that now they're turning on MSNBC, the most radically left news outlet that there is, for being racist because they fired a black woman. That Joy Reid should be immune from being fired, even though her show has no viewers and loses millions of dollars, simply because she's a black woman. And this next clip I'm gonna show you is honestly the funniest moment of her entire farewell and illustrates why she's getting fired and her show's losing millions of dollars, when she says thank you to her massive team of like 50 people. Watch.
The readout worked because everybody from the interns on up put their whole heart into it. So before we go, tonight, my moment of joy is to tell you just some of the names of the people who made this show happen. From Nathan Mutale, our amazing and always well-dressed intern, Raven Sievers, our fabulous tape producer, Lily Guthrie, who keeps our graphics looking fab, our awesome associate producers, Adam Garnett, who understands, as I do, that every story is really a story about Brooklyn, and Julia Dirtzman, Go Liberty. So there you go, you converted me. Our genius producers, Tori James, our marathon runner, Andres Penfold Perez, our man of many faces, Valerie McCabe, my cut-up partner during the meetings, Tiffany Mullen,
3 hours later,
Jonathan Hellman, who I will miss reciting his segments during the show meetings and helping me tell stories using children's poems, Kai Ma, who channels my whole entire brain, and also our resident sports expert, senior producer Pete Fall, probably the most cool-headed, kind person I have ever worked with in this business, our line producer Rachel Whitkin, the conscience of the readout, and with Tori, our other resident Swiftie, our phenomenal booking producers, Leslie Frazier, a.k.a. our Disney princess, Patrick Judge, my fellow comic fan, digital producer Alexis Stodgehill, my ride or die social media super friend, our phenomenal blog editor Jahan Jones, the downtown Sterling Brown.
Now, I know cable news and what I do is a little bit different, but I do all of this by myself. There were like 50 people responsible for this dumpster fire of a show that they put on every night. And that's the thing about Democrats that's evident in both business and in government, is they hate capitalism. They hate the idea of making a profit. Joy Reid and her team of 50 stooges are under the impression that they're doing some sort of civic duty every night when they come on TV and lie to people. And how dare MSNBC want to turn a profit, let alone not lose millions of dollars. Now, yesterday, Joy Reid did a little Zoom call from her depressing wine lair, reacting to the news that her show was going to be canceled, and actually broke down in tears. Take a look.
My show had value, and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And then it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you.
Now, I can honestly sympathize with her. I mean, where else is she going to get paid millions of dollars a year to give low IQ, deranged takes on national television? But the only reason I really wanted to show that to you guys is it was a stark difference between her cheery and smiley MSNBC farewell show, and it reminded me a lot of this meme right here. Now that Joy Reid is off the air, what other delusional liberal show do you guys think should be next on the chopping block? My pick is The View, with an honorable mention for Rachel Maddow and Abby Phillips on CNN. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you guys enjoyed this video and Joy Reid officially being out of our lives, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.